What's going on, people? It's your boy Tony G, the Black Ops Band Dog TV, where first order of business is and always where we're building leaders and creating kings operation by building national development over generations. Today I wanted to speak to y'all directly about, and the order of business is about some of our greatest thought provokers or influencers right now. I want to speak directly to y'all. I want to speak directly to you guys. Like y'all impact is so y'all impact is so pronounced on us and our perspective on things. Like it's a responsibility and a duty that they have as well as that we have and to receive that information, how we receive that information. But one key factor that I want to do, and I play a role in this as well. One key factor that I want to bring about is understanding that in us giving information about how we think that we should proceed or move forward, that's going to be more impactful in our lives, more have a greater impact on our lives and our family lives and our community and things of that nature. In us giving that information, we got to be understanding and pay attention to the fact that we also are creating like this fear mongering. We almost and we get it from just how we've learned in America in general. Oftentimes we create and or control the narrative by one, creating fear in those individuals. You fear individuals into listening to the things that you're saying. But let me give a simple analogy real quick, and then you can better understand where I'm coming from with it. With regard to your kids, we love our kids. We want nothing but the best for our kids, and so much so that when we're trying to teach them how to drive, oftentimes if you speak to kids, so many different young men that I speak to, when I speak to them in terms of learning how to drive, oftentimes they say they didn't learn from their parents. Oftentimes they tell you they didn't want to learn from their parents. Oftentimes they learn from who? Especially coming from the communities that we come from those hoods, they learn from who? They learn from their peers. And their peers aren't the ones constantly telling them, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Oftentimes their peers are the ones that's challenging them to do so. But let me backtrack real quick and I'll get back into the peers. The biggest thing that I'm talking about is with parents, we want so much for our kids to do right. We want so much for our kids to think well and be responsible in the things that they're doing that we start to create a fear in them as opposed to a strength in them. What I mean is when we're teaching our kids to drive, they be so scared and nervous. Oftentimes you create accidents or they're not really grasping the concept of how to drive right away, or it's taking them a longer time to grasp it because parents are so on them. They got to focus on one, the task at hand, them actually learning how to drive, but then two, they got to focus on letting mommy down or letting daddy down. They constantly hear that voice on the side of them, on the right hand side of them, constantly telling them X, Y, Z, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do, and they so conscious of focus on not letting that individual down that they losing sight of what they really trying to do. They losing focus on what they trying to do. You rousing their nerves. You bringing too much nerves about. One thing about my kids, when I talk, and every last one of them, when I teach them how to drive, the first thing I teach them at a young age. You understand what I'm saying? I put them on my lap first. Sit them on daddy's lap and let them stir. Just let them stir the car. I show them where to place their hands, just so they can get that feel for the car. Just so they can get that feel for the engine. You can feel it in their body. They can feel it in their body, all the way from the pedal to the actual steering wheel. And I'm talking about, I put them in my lap before they even able to touch the pedal, just so they able to get down how to stir the car. Once they learn how to stir the car, and look, while I'm doing it though, the whole time, I'm careful to not take my hand off of the bottom of that steering wheel, but it's far enough out of sight that they can't see it, that they truly believe that they're steering the car. I have it on there. They may not understand why that steering wheel a little bit stiff, why they don't have free range of motion, why it's stiff. But one thing I do is keep it out of sight so I can sell them on the illusion that they are steering this car. Oftentimes I go ahead and give them enough. I might use my knee to help steer the car a little bit and then just show them that my hands are up. You got this. You're doing it yourself. That's encouraging them. That's encouraging. That's not discouraging. That's encouraging them. So by the time they're able to actually reach the pedal, they believe that steering a car ain't nothing. They believe that it's easy. And yeah, they have to get used to it. But the thing is, they get used to it from one. Of course, you take them in a space that they're able to, move and maneuver in a manner that they're not going to run into something. But in the same sense, you give them that space and that opportunity. You let them rev that engine up and see how fast it is. You make sure that you teach them all the safety features and things of that nature. But you give them the space. You give them the space. So now let me reel that in and talk to our people on what I mean when I say that we are oftentimes when we give information, we're fear mongering. Like you telling us You'll have a conversation where you're telling us, you got to, in order for us to be successful, you got to do this. You got to invest into this. You got to invest into that. You have to invest into it. It's best if you invest into that. And these things are the things that I've seen is what worked for me. And this is what's going on. If it's regard to real estate, then this is the way, these are the avenues that you take in terms of real estate. Take this course or take this class, and this is how you step into it. Or these are the avenues and how you step into cryptocurrency and what it means to have a cryptocurrency and who you should deal with and who you shouldn't deal with and things of that nature, or NFTs. And but then in that same conversation, which is powerful, we need that. But then in that same conversation, on that same breath, or a few conversations down the line, you saying, see, we so focused on doing this, that, and the third that we ain't never gonna understand cryptocurrency. We so focused on what's trending with Kanye or Kim that we ain't never gonna understand what's cryptocurrency. Kim and Kanye, they got their ducks in order. We don't know what we doing. We don't know what we doing. We so focused on TikTok and making TikTok videos, or we so focused on being the next rapper or being the next ball player that we. So in a sense, that's like a dog chasing his tail, and I understand where it's coming from. You genuinely want to point out the things that are causing us to be a little more docile in our understanding or interpretation, but you failing to realize that is the exact thing that's making us more docile in our approach to these different things. You wonder why people are fearful to step into NFTs. You wonder why people are fearful to step into digital currency. You wonder why people are fearful of those things, because in that same voice, you're telling us why it's so impactful and how big it is and how it's the next wave. But we're scared to get into it, because in that same sense, you're also telling us that our faults, pointing out all of our faults, why we can't do this, why we can't get up as a people, because we can't even stick together. We can't even, you telling me that I need to trust my friend. You telling me I need to trust my brother. You telling me in the one voice that I need to trust him. You telling me that this is supposed to be somebody that I can go to, and that somebody that I can trust, and somebody that I can put my trust into, and things of that nature. But in the same sense, on another segment, you're telling us like the reason that we don't do well because we can't even trust each other. I can't trust to go to your store or purchase what you want because of X, Y, and Z, because you had your prices up on X, Y, and Z. Everybody else do it like this, and then we always so focused. That's the biggest thing. We always so focused on what everybody else is doing. Everybody else, and I'm doing the same thing that I said. And again, I'm a part of that. I understand that I'm a part of that. So that's why I'm challenging us to be more mindful of and more conscious of the fact that we're doing those things, that we do those things. And I know that it's not that we're doing it on purpose. We're doing it to point out some of the things that we're doing so we can show our individuals that we love and our people what it is that we truly want them to get into. But if you constantly and repetitively beat that over top of somebody, let them know their faults, let them know their failures, let them know their shortcomings, then how are they ever going to truly feel strengthened or emboldened to step outside of that? The only thing that we truly need to do is just let them know what we need to do. Show them the path, blaze the path. Let us know what we need to do. Continuously focus on that. Now, it's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. It's nothing wrong with that. But you gotta be sensitive to the fact that sometimes you can over criticize, that you make people fearful. You make people fearful to step into it because they feel as if they're gonna fail. Sometimes they feel as if not only are they gonna fail, but sometimes they feel as if they're gonna let you down. Sometimes they feel as if because they don't want to be criticized, sometimes they feel as if they don't even want to step into it because they don't want to look dumb or be shamed. Whether by our influencers or by their parents or by whoever it is that they feel as if they're going to receive shame from. Oftentimes, we don't really take that into consideration when we're giving out this more powerful information. This powerful information that we can truly use. This powerful information that's going to help elevate us to the next level. We don't take that into consideration. I feel like that's also a lot of why we are killing some or stagnating some of our growth. We're stagnating some of our kids' growth. That's my biggest focus on kids. We put so much of our fears into them that we don't really truly teach them to step out on faith. Just step out on faith. Forget why you can't do it. Forget all the things that could possibly happen. Step out on faith. That's not to truly ultimately say, forget about it. You can gradually give them the things that could happen. But the most impactful information that you can truly give is what will happen if you step into this. The positives that will happen if you step into this. Now, there will be things that you deal with that may be a little challenging, but I've been there already. So once you bump your head on that rock or stump your toe on that rock or trip over it, I'm here to pick you up. I know exactly what bandage you need to get to. I know the closest hospital that gets you there, and I know how to get us past that. I guarantee we can go down that same trail. You will see that rock and you will never fall, trip, stumble, or hit your head on that rock ever again. Ever again. Because we've already been down that path. We know exactly what that path has to offer, and now we can continue down that path to get to that creek that we was originally trying to get to whatever, swimming or fishing or whatever that destination was. Now we know the steps that we need to take to get there. It's not saying that We can't go to that because every time you go through the woods or every time you take that path, you hit your foot on that same route. No, we already know where we need to go. Let's get there. Let's get there by empowering ourselves. Let's get there by pushing more confidence in our individuals and our kids. Pushing more confidence as opposed to constantly telling them why they can't do or what they can't do or why we failed and things of that nature. Now again, it's a thin line between pettiness and principles. You understand that. The biggest thing is it's not to truly bash or belittle or degrade. That's not what we're doing when we do it. It's because we know that some of those things that we are doing, they are vices that we have. They are vices that we struggle with. And we know if we continue to go down that same path, we're going, and that's not to say that you can't approach that every once in a blue. But if you think about how impactful you are in the platform and how many times you actually speak and how many times you actually come to individuals, and we're constantly watching videos, we're constantly watching YouTube, listening to your content. And if I watched 100 videos and on 75 of them you told me why I can't be successful, the problem with my people, and then to me, like outside of the message, the positive message, the very thing that drew me to you is the very thing that's making me fearful to do some of those things that you are suggesting that we do as a people. You understand what I'm saying? Let's just be mindful of that. This isn't about bashing or belittling our people at all. It's about just a better approach to things. Again, it's not going to be too long. Build the leaders and create a king. Do man shit, live strong and die weak.